And he'd somehow climb up onto the roof by himself. He's only about 4, and he'd be walking around the roof. And we'd get these... People must have thought we were great parents. Anyway, yeah, he hasn't turned out too bad. Yes, anyway. But then, when he got older, that didn't stop him from getting on the roof. What he used to do was, some of his friends, they'd go and grab the mattresses off the beds. They'd take them outside, they'd climb up on the roof, and they'd jump off the roof. Can you imagine it? And I never knew all this stuff until until he told me at some stage. And if you want to know how to cook a pie, who do you ask? Nathaniel. He used to get his pies, he would tip them upside down, he'd cut the bottom out of them and then fill it with sauce, and then he'd eat it that way through the bottom. And every time we had to buy a new microwave, it had to have a pie thing on it to say how to heat up a pie. Anyway, he used to love his pies. He was a really, really fussy eater when he was younger. Now, he used to like rollerblading, wasn't it, Nathaniel? Rollerblading? And one day he decided he'd have a bit of an accident, busted his arm in bits and pieces, fainted on the spot sort of thing. It was very exciting. So he's been in the wars a bit, so he knows how to do some daredevil stuff. The other thing he used to do with his mate next door was they'd get on their bikes, and they'd make a little jump. One would lie at the top of the jump, and they'd jump the bikes over. And he was the one I think was just doing most of the lying down. Is that right? And Sam used to do the riding. Oh, it's amazing they never got hurt. Anyway, learning to drive. When he got older, I was trying to get him into driving. Do you think I could do it? It was so hard. He just didn't want to drive. So I had to, every time we'd go out for anywhere, I'd say, right, you're driving. I'm not. So to make him get in there. I think he appreciates the fact that I did that now, and actually made him get out there and learn to drive. But he also got himself a bike license, a motorbike license at one point. He was the first one in the family to do that, but never got his license. Everybody else did. So that was an interesting one. Now, he did a lot of travelling over to Japan, and a lot of people here met him in Japan. It was quite, he made a lot of friends while he was over there. Australian friends as well as Japanese friends. But he decided he wanted to learn a language, and at a fairly old age. Yeah, how old were you? About 25? Yeah, 25. He started to learn how to speak Japanese. And I thought to start learning at that point in time, that age, and when he wasn't living in Japan, I thought it was a great feat. He mastered it fairly well. I wouldn't say he's fluent, but he's semi-fluent. And we actually went and joined him over there a couple of times, and had a great time. Well, he could take us around and show us a few things. Now, he's also been, I think, become a fairly good lifesaver. Is that right? Yeah. You see the guy on the end there? Apparently he saved his life on that. They got caught in a rip down on a very quiet beach down the south coast at one point in time. And Nathaniel, we gave them all swimming lessons when they were younger, and something must have kicked in somewhere along the line, and he actually managed to bring both Jessie and himself out of a rip which was pulling about the sea, and they had to, he took over I think at that point, didn't he, Jess? And helped them out. Otherwise we might not have been able to enjoy this time tonight together. But very, very proud of him in that time.
Woo!
Now, there are two times in my life with him that I really got to appreciate how important Nathaniel is to me, and also to Rosalind. The first one was when Nathaniel decided to have a 3-month trip over to Europe by himself. I thought he was quite courageous because he used to be a fairly timid young man and not really outgoing, but he decided to do this by himself. Anyway, at the end of the time, when he was coming back, I decided to fly to Singapore, catch up with him, have a few days with him before we both flew home together. Now, he'd been away for 3 months. We hadn't seen him for 3 months. And I flew over there and we got into Singapore at about the same time. And just as we saw each other, he came over to me. And now you've got to know Nathaniel, he's not much of a hugger. Right? He doesn't do that, or he didn't do that very much at all. But when we saw each other, he just came straight over to me and gave me this big man hug. It was so nice to see for me, and I really appreciated that sentiment, I guess, of that father and son connection. The second time was when he was in Japan, and we got a phone call one night, very late. I don't know if anybody knows this story, but it was probably the most scariest, or the scariest time of my life as far as any of my children are concerned. He somehow got himself into a bit of trouble. I don't know how that happened, but he needed to be bailed out a little bit. Now, being how far is it? 2,000 k, 3, 4, 5,000 k away or whatever. You feel so helpless as a parent. And we were ringing the embassies and we were doing this and doing. We were trying to find out how we could help him out. And it was a very scary time for all of us. Even Kirsten was helping us out as well. Sorry? Yeah, so it was that night and that little bit of time that we had to try and help him out made me aware of how much we love our kids, all of them. And when they're in trouble, how difficult it is for us when you feel so helpless to be able to do anything. But we managed to get him through that too. Otherwise, he might not have been here again tonight. But it was a pretty precarious situation he was in. But Nathaniel has grown up to be a very thoughtful and caring young man, resourceful and determined. And I know that he will be a good husband and a faithful husband. Now, Olivia, I wanted to say something about you too. I haven't known you for that long, but what Rosalind and I have seen in you is someone who is very caring and loving. We have seen the difference you've made in Nathaniel's life, especially in his eating. You've got no, unless you've lived with Nathaniel, you've got no idea how difficult it used to be. What was it, chicken nuggets, pies, that was about it. Anyway, you've made such a difference to him, and we can see the love that you have for him, and we appreciate you being in his life, and we appreciate you being in our lives. We, both Rose and I, welcome you to our family, and know that, and thank you for accepting us as well into your life. Really appreciate that. Yeah, where am I up to? Now, I was going to give you some advice tonight, and I will. So, a bit of it was said when Major Vicky had a word in the ceremony. Love is not just a feeling. It's a word of action and it's a choice. Love is showing patience and being kind. Love isn't jealous, it isn't boastful, and it isn't proud or rude. It doesn't demand its own way. It isn't irritable and doesn't store up a record of any wrongs that might have happened or done to you. Love never gives up, never loses faith in each other, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. I think this is a good reminder for us here in this place of what love means, and I pray that you will just take that with you into your life, to love each other, not with a feeling, but with an attitude of how you live together. And we're not having a toast tonight, but I want to give them a blessing, and I pray that you will bless them as well as I do. May you be blessed with a love for each other, with strength to conquer all the circumstances of life, and the will to make the most of your life together. God bless you always, and I love you. I love you both.
Thank you, Neil. I feel like I'm copying collateral damage out of that speech. Nat Clee, to his credit, has always been taller than two blokes out of the class of kindergarten 95. He's called me, God bless him, and me. So in more ways than one, whether I like it or not, I've always looked up to you, Nat. Thank you, Neil. Can I invite now Rebecca to please share some words?